Hey, what's up guys, it's Cher, and this episode of Black Lightning had me crying. But not like actually crying, but more like a, you know, Black Lightning, I told you so crying, I told you not to do what you're doing, and you went ahead and you did it anyway. I feel like Lynn in this episode, and I'm starting to understand her point of view a lot more than in the first few episodes. So that was really interesting. So it gives you, this episode gives you a new perspective, and it kind of shows like where Lynn is coming from, because I definitely will say like I did not care like what she felt like or what she had to say, because I always felt like she was just being a dramatic like wife slash mom. So I didn't believe her until now. So this episode definitely had me with my jaw dropped. So for the spoiler-free part of this review, I'm going to try to go back to that, giving you like a review with no spoilers and then a review with spoilers. So for the first part of this episode, I will definitely say that it gives you a lot more information, and I love when the show continuously gets better, and it gave me everything that I asked for. I got more of Tobias and his backstory. We see his sister as well. We get to learn a little bit more about like why he is the way he is and how he feels, and definitely like what's going on his side, like being the bad guy and what that means. We see him as he continues to like run the streets and so on and so forth. And then we also get to see his family life, which was very interesting. And I have a lot to say about that, and I'll talk about that when we get into the spoiler part of this review. And we also get to see a lot more of Jennifer, and wondering like if she's going to get her powers, or if she's just really, you know, smart and strong and she just knows what she's doing. And then we also get to see a lot more of Anissa trying to figure out how to be a superhero. So overall, I give this episode probably a good 9 out of 10. There was nothing that was like super amazing about this episode, but there was absolutely nothing that was bad about this episode either. So it was a really good episode, and it definitely kept me intrigued. I didn't even look at my phone once the first time I watched the episode. So that's a really good 9 out of 10, okay? Okay, so now let's get into the episode with spoilers. So if you haven't watched it, stop watching this review right now, watch the actual episode, and then come right back, okay? Okay? I'm trusting you. Alright, see you in a second. Okay, so this episode starts out with Black Lightning. He is roaming the streets and he's checking everything out, making sure everything looks good. And Gamby has come up with a new piece of technology to go in Black Lightning's suit to help him fly all over town. And it's so cool because you see it's kind of like Iron Man, but like with electricity. So how Iron Man flies with his hands down and his feet, like this like fire energy like comes out of his suit and he starts to fly around. Basically it's the same thing with Black Lightning, except it's electricity, and he really was enjoying it and flying and like kind of getting back into the groove of things of being Black Lightning. So it was really cool. It was really cool to look at. And so he's looking over his city, he's roaming, checking everything out, and as he's flying he notices a kid that's high on green light, and there are 2 police officers, and this kid is pretty much like going in on these police officers. He's pushing them and he's tossing them aside, and he's got all of this strength because of green light, and green light gives you this super strength and superpowers, and like you can't stop yourself from being like angry and loud and so on and so forth. So when the cops realize that they're not going to be able to control him, one of the cops, who do happen to be white, so it's kind of like showing you that like black-white type of like police brutality type of thing, even though he was reacting badly, they never reached for their taser first. So Black Lightning comes down right before the kid gets shot, and he takes the bullet and he stops it, and then he knocks the kid unconscious, and he's like, next time go for your taser instead of just going for the gun trying to, you know, kill the kid. You know, you shoot the taser first, because the thing is, his electricity is what knocks kids out when they're high on green light. So his electricity is basically the same thing as a taser. Like the taser does the same thing. So it was really interesting to see him like tell the cops what to do, and even though he's a wanted man, the cops didn't stop him because they knew that he wasn't going to hurt the kid. They knew that he was just going to knock the kid out and help them actually do their job. And you know good and well they're going to take all the credit at that police station. We already know this. But one thing we notice as Black Lightning is flying around, he starts getting this really like piercing headache, and he stops and he bends over and he's holding his head, and we're noticing that like he's in pain, but he pushes through it and he keeps working and flying around the city. So as we continue watching the episode, we notice that Peter Gamby notices that Tobias is in a shop. and he completely like freezes up, and he grabs the gun and he heads upstairs because he was in the little Black Lightning area that they have under his suit shop. So he comes up and he sees what Tobias wants, and Tobias is basically just threatening him, and he's like, tell me who Black Lightning is so I can go kill him and everything like that. And then Tobias and Gambi, they talk to each other, not like they're friends, but like they've worked together before. So it's like, give me a name and stuff, and he did not threaten to kill him, not really. And Peter's like, I'm not going to tell you anything, you know, you're going to have to figure it out on your own. And he's like, I don't know anything about Black Lightning. Knowing stuff about Black Lightning gets you killed. I'm not in that, da 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 da. And I was just wondering, since Gambi also deleted the photo of Tobias off of like his information that he had that he would give to Jefferson, it makes me wonder how deep in cahoots the two are. Like if they've worked together a lot before, or like what's going on with that. It really does make me question it, because I'm trying, like I feel like Gambi's heart is in a good place, but I feel like he's gotten himself into a really big predicament now, and I don't know the history between Tobias and Gambi, but I guess we're gonna find out at one point or another, and I'm just hoping that sometime soon, because I don't want to question Gambi anymore. I want him to just be a good guy, but it's like every episode something leads me to thinking that he's more wrong than right. And while Peter, Gambi, and Tobias are talking, he also talks about Tobias having a serum in his system that stops him from aging. So we don't know how old Tobias is, and then it also kind of adds, because I was watching a review and someone had said, what if Tobias has superpowers? And then I was like, oh my god, what if he does have superpowers? And now it's answered both of our questions. He might not have superpowers, but he does have an ability. And that ability is to not age. So I wonder how that's going to affect, like, him and his strength and what he does and what he doesn't do. Because when we look at what we've seen so far, we haven't seen Tobias shoot a gun. We haven't seen Tobias, like, in a fight per se. So it makes me wonder like what he can and can't do, because like Gambi said that they didn't tell him everything about the serum when they injected him with it. So it makes me wonder if he has any special abilities or any defaults because of the said serum. So I hope we find out more about that as well. Anissa is working on trying to figure out how she has the super strength and all of these weird new abilities, and she's trying to figure it out without telling her parents. So she's doing like research, she's reading about genetic mutations, she's looking up super strength online, and she's trying to figure things out. And she finds a video online of this guy who's talking about how there was poison in like the Flint water, like Flint Lives Matter, hello. And they were also talking about how in Freeland, like these kids would go missing or they'd have special abilities, and then like everything just went blank. And the person who was discovering all of this was actually her grandfather, and that is the grandfather that was killed by Tobias. So, as we are going through this, she starts like looking into it, and she's trying to figure out more about her grandfather, and she ends up going to the news office where she meets one of her grandfather's partners, and they start communicating and talking about everything. And as soon as she starts bringing up the missing kids and the super strength and stuff like that, he politely tells her to get out and that he doesn't want anything to do with her and she needs to leave because like it's bad stuff. So she's starting to realize that like things are starting to catch up, and she's starting to catch on, and she's like, okay, something shady is definitely going on here, and it might have to do with grandfather's death, because she does know that he was murdered, but I don't think she knows like the seriousness of it all and like Tobias and everything like that. But I do think if she continues down this road, she will figure it out. So earlier in the episode, we see Jennifer at the skating rink with one of her best friends. She's chilling, living her life, taking selfies, and these two girls come up to her, and they're calling her boyfriend a cripple and just being really disrespectful. And she's like, you're just mad because he dumped you and I beat you in track, and you just need to get over it, build a bridge, get over it, move on. And the girl's like, I wanted to beat you up since the 6th grade. And then both of these girls come at her and attack her, but she easily like gets rid of both of them, and she ends up breaking one girl's wrist. Now, she did not start the fight. They antagonized her, and then they decided that they were going to try to hurt her. But the thing is, it didn't work. because Anissa and Jennifer have both been taught self-defense by Jefferson. So she easily just takes them down. She breaks the girl's wrist. She walks off. She's smiling. She's living her life. And then she goes on skating. And she gets in so much trouble with her parents because the girl's moms, I think she has 2 moms, they both come to Jefferson's house, and both Lynn and Jefferson are there, and they all start talking, and they're like eating cornbread and drinking tea, and they're all talking and laughing with one another. And they're like, we're going to take full responsibility for our daughter's actions and this and that and one and the other. And I was like, y'all do realize that she was just defending herself. Like, she wasn't, like, trying to fight. But if they come up to her and they're saying that they're going to, like, beat her up and they're going to hurt her, she does have the right to defend herself. So I didn't understand why they were so mad at her. My mom would have been like, good job, honey. I'm glad that you got him. And her wrist should have been broken because she was talking so much smack and being so disrespectful. So, I mean, I'm not mad. And I was really upset that they were. Because, honestly, if it had gone badly, it would have basically been her getting jumped. And they would have attacked her and beaten her up. And I guess they were trying to say that they were more mad at her because she didn't tell them what had happened. But, I mean, she didn't get hurt, so what's the point? Especially if you don't have that type of relationship with your parents, you're probably not going to tell them that kind of business. And we know Jennifer. She's been acting out this entire time. This is episode 5. So for the past, like, 5 episodes, she's been acting out this whole time. Like, she quit the track team, her boyfriend got shot. Like, there's a lot going on with her, and they need to open up communication with her again. And I think then, without punishment, she won't be reprimanded, and they'll have a better understanding of one another, as in herself and her parents. So Jefferson goes to the same pharmacy that Anissa went to, and she threw the guy over the counter. He goes to that same pharmacy, and he sees a man with his daughter, and he's trying to figure out, like, why his pills weren't working, and they were all powder. So he brings them back to the pharmacy, and he's like, y'all sold me these, and they're not good, they're not working. And the guy behind the counter, he's like, I can't help you, I can't take back used medicine. And he's like, it's not used, it's just old, and it's not right, and I need my money back, or I need a new one so I can, you know, help my daughter. She has a fever, she's sick, and she doesn't feel good, and I want to make her feel better. And he's like, I've been working a double, and then you're just telling me that you can't help me. Like, what's going on? Jefferson hears this, so he walks on over, and he's like, hey, is everything okay around here? He figures out what's happening, and he's like, hey, help my man out. You know, he's trying to keep his daughter safe. You know, at least he's out here, like, trying. And he's like, I can't help you. And then he gets really angry, and he, like, throws his hand on the counter, and he makes a big, like, thunder sound, and he's like, help him out. Like, he's getting really aggressive, and then he gets, like, one of those, like, mind-blowing headaches again, and he's bent over, and his eyes are flashing lightning, and everyone's like, are you okay? Like, what's going on with you? And he's like, trying to pull it together. He's like, I'm fine, I'm fine. He was going in for headache medicine himself, so obviously the being Black Lightning is really affecting him in a way that we haven't seen so far yet. But in the end, he's able to help the guy out, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to pay for the medicine. Next time you see somebody who needs help, I want you to pay for theirs. And you know what, we're good. And they go ahead and they get him the new medicine, but now we're left with this, like, Jefferson really does have a problem, and we have to figure out how to help him and how to make him better. So that's what we're kind of left with, this weird, eerie feeling like what's actually wrong with Jefferson. Because now we know that it's not just when he's Black Lightning, it's all the time. So Jefferson's back in his Black Lightning suit, and he runs into his detective friend, and they have a conversation, and he gives him a burner phone, and he's like, I want you to use this to contact me. Basically, there's some stuff going on. And the reason he does that is because as he's being Black Lightning and he's looking for more green light and stuff, he finds a house, like, full of chemicals. And so he goes and he breaks in, I think it's like a garage or something, and he breaks in, he sees all the chemicals, and then this white man comes up behind him, and he's like, you're a wanted man, you're on private property, I can shoot your black ass, and I will be called a hero, and you need to get off my property, I'm not telling you anything. But Black Lightning gives him a nice little lightning bolt and knocks him out. Well, not knocks him out, but knocks him on the ground, electrocutes him a little bit more, and he's like, you're going to tell me what I need to know. Where did you get all this stuff from? What is it for? And he's like, all of these chemicals are for green light. They've been given to me, and I hold them for the bad guys. And he's like, the guy that I know the name of is Toledo. Toledo, right? Like Toledo Zoo? Like Joey Toledo. Got it. Okay. So basically, Joey Toledo ends up being Tobias's right-hand man. So he's like, if Joey is around, Tobias must be around. So he gets like super angry and fragmented, and he goes back to Gambi, and he's like, there's something wrong with the new piece of the suit I gave you. Give it back to me, give me some time, and I'll rework it, and then you'll get rid of all of these headaches and stuff. And the thing is, they realize that he has these headaches because he hadn't been telling them, apparently. He hadn't been telling him, Gambi or Lynn. And he falls out, and they were fighting and arguing about Tobias and Toledo, and he falls to the ground. He's just unconscious. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with him, but they can't take him to a hospital because they know that he's different and he has like these lightning abilities, which means his blood is probably different, and they don't want to do that. So he calls Lynn, and they're talking, and now we're kind of seeing what she means by like how he was like addicted to his power, and like his personality is changing now, and he's being really aggressive, and he's having these headaches and stuff, and he's killing himself basically just to save everyone else. And she's like, this has to stop. Like, I genuinely do understand where she's coming from now and why she was so hesitant and why she didn't want him to be Black Lightning in the first place. Like, now it's like I completely understand where she's coming from, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, I didn't realize that it could be this bad. So now I do understand where she's coming from, and it's like, I see you, girl. I see where you're coming from, and I see what you mean. So I'm not going to be as hard on Lynn anymore as I have been in my past few reviews, because I get where she's coming from now, because she does love him, and she does care for him, and they're probably going to get back together in one way or another. We can feel it coming. So, I don't know. We'll just see what happens. In the end, though, the Black Lightning's cop friend ends up calling him back, and they give him information on Joey Toledo, and they're like, we don't have enough to get a warrant, but we know you're gonna go after him anyway, so here's some info on him, here's info on his girlfriend, go do your thing. So basically, even though he knows that he's hurt and he's injured and he's not doing well, he goes after him anyway because he feels that responsibility, even though he knows that like he's not at his best. And Gambi was trying to tell him, you need to wait, let's not do this yet, and so on and so forth, but he just doesn't care. He's ready to do his own thing, and he's like, you know, it's going down. Like, it's going down. And it ends up not working out for him. He gets beat up pretty bad by Joey Toledo. And it's not necessarily Joey Toledo and himself that's making him like get beat up so terribly, but simply because he doesn't feel good and he has these headaches, and they're really like, they take him out his square for a decent amount of time. Like, he bends over and he holds his head and he has to ride it out. But the thing is, that makes him vulnerable because he's focusing so much on the head. Like, his chest and his head and his shoulders and stuff are vulnerable. So he gets kicked, he gets punched, he gets like knocked out on the floor. And even though he put up a really good fight with Joey Toledo, he still gets away. And Joey Toledo's like, you should have stayed in hiding. Tobias is gonna find you and kill you. You're not gonna learn anything from me. He doesn't give him any information, and he like waddles off. And it's just because he wouldn't calm down. So I do kind of understand what Lynn is saying when he's like addicted to the power, and I hope that this teaches him to calm the fuck down, because he's hurting himself and he's hurting everyone around him, because if he's not at his best, no one is going to be protected and no one's going to be safe in the city. So it's like a give and take type of thing. And I feel badly for him, but at the same time it's like, it is what it is. He should have been better. He should have been listening to Gambi, and he should have been listening to Lynn, and maybe then all of this wouldn't be happening. It was honestly really sad, and that's how the episode ended. It ended with Black Lightning on the ground, and he was just really sad, and I was like, aw, poor guy. You should have done better. And then Anissa was out here doing her thing, so she went to a whole costume shop, and she figured out her outfit. She got a cute blonde wig, and she got this sexy, bright kind of outfit to work out in, and it was so funny because she tried working out in her black leather outfit because Jennifer stole her hoodie, but it broke, and she was like, all this ass. I was like, yes, girl, but it's not really all that ass. It's more like all them thighs. Because Honey Girl got thighs on her. I was like, ooh. Ooh, okay. Anyway. Anyway, she figures out a really cool outfit, and she's still like unraveling all of this info about her grandfather, because she tried to talk about it with her dad and he just wasn't really having it. He glazed over it. He was like, your grandfather was always doing the best that he could, and he was always trying to stand up for people and be a good person and do the best that he can. And that's basically all he told him. He didn't tell him anything about his death or the disappearances or the articles that he was writing. He just kind of glazed over it, and he was like, my dad was a good man, and you're a good girl, and I don't want anything bad to happen to you like it happened to him. He pretty glazed over it. He didn't talk about it in detail with her because, like, I'm pretty sure that his father died when he was 12, I think. So, like, he's obviously, like, traumatized. And I do feel bad for that, but at the same time, it's like, you gotta be open and honest with your kids, because both of your kids are, like, out here trying to be superheroes and save themselves and everything. So, it's just like, what are we gonna do? You know, what are we gonna do? Hey guys, I'm currently editing my video, and this is probably my longest Black Lightning review yet, and I'm really sorry for that if you don't like watching long videos, but I totally forgot to talk about how Tobias and his sister went to see their birth father, and basically he killed his dad. He broke his back. Basically, the reason they did that was because they felt like Tobias was like off his rocker. He was making really bad choices, and all he was doing was like watching over the 100. He hasn't been promoted by Lady Eve yet, so he's just like running the streets, and he wants like a pay grade, and he wants to be more important. And his sister tells him the only reason he's reacting like this and he's so upset is because he hasn't faced his real demons, which is the fact that his father verbally and physically abused him and his sister, and his birth father would always tell him that he was like worthless, and he wasn't black but he wasn't white, he was just this weird like in between, and like he can't, and since he's albino, like he can't see very well, so he's never going to be able to drive, he can't stay out too much in the sun because it'll burn his skin, and so on and so forth. And basically he was just really abused by his dad, so it kind of messes with his self-worth, and then he also would hit his sister. So basically his sister decided to find their father, and when they did, they went to him, and Tobias gave him a hug and broke his back, and since he can't really move to get help, his father is going to die. So he did that in this episode as well, and Lady Eve sent him bone dust of other albino people to threaten him, I guess. So that's what happened with Tobias. I can't believe I totally forgot about that, but I'm adding it in right now, and yeah, let's get back to the official video. So I hope you guys like this video. You can like, comment, subscribe if you want to. It's all fun and games here. And I will see you guys next week. Leave a comment down below. What do you think is going to happen next for Black Lightning? Do you think he's going to pull it together and take some rest? Or do you think he's going to try to continue to push through it and get his ass beat once again? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace!